Hello, YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode of Freedom Friday here on the Ohio Patriot Education Network YouTube channel. I am, as always, your host, AR, the Ohio Patriot. And for today's episode, among other things, we're going to talk about scumbag Chris Murphy is one of the biggest oath-breaking tyrant pieces of shit on planet Earth right now, and why he must be arrested for high treason and a various slew of other crimes for that matter today. So basically, for those that haven't heard, you have gun control being pushed in the NDAA / military spending bill. Fucking dickhead Chris Murphy, when it went to the U.S. Senate the other day, decided to put in gun bans, waiting periods, and a gun registry into a must-pass bill. I'm sorry, when did high treason stop becoming a thing in this country? Oh yeah, that's right, it never did. This motherfucker can still be brought up on high treason right now, which is what he should be brought up on, honestly. As well as a slew of other stuff is what it is, man. Deprivation of the color of law, trying to fuck with the American people's rights, literally breaking his own sworn oath to the U.S. Constitution, somebody's taking an oath on every single time you have a new sitting Congress. This motherfucker has to re-up his oath and has broken it every single time, less than like 10 minutes after that. Like, honestly, for those who don't know what Chris Murphy looks like, we're going to get a picture of Chris Murphy right now in this whole thing, because this dude is, like, the biggest fucking pedophile I've ever seen in my entire life, dude. If there is anybody in Congress right now, dude, that is 100% a child molester, it has to be Chris Murphy's ass. So, but yeah, looking at pictures of this fucking ass clown right here. Talk about this dipshit right here from Connecticut. And that's the problem too right now, right? So you have this fuck knuckle from Connecticut trying to fuck over the rights of every American in other states right now. And this is exactly why I feel like certain states entirely should not have representation in our country currently, because you have already fucked up and you have already proven that you are to a point in history when it comes to voting. If you're going to vote in the dumbest pieces of shit ever, either for election or for re-election, like shitheads like Chris Murphy or Richard Blumenthal, or the two dickhead senators from Connecticut, both of which should be in prison right now on various slews of charges, from high treason to crimes against humanity to deprivation of rights to the color of law to oath breaking, etc., etc., etc. You know, all kinds of stuff, all kinds of felonies, all kinds of misdemeanors is what it is. And when you're going to sit there and you're going to admit in multiple interviews in the past few months that, oh, the bullshit that we've passed isn't going to do a damn thing to actually stop future fucking crimes from happening, but yeah, you keep passing it, you keep throwing it against the fucking wall and seeing what sticks, and he's going to keep doing that shit over and over again, dude, until he is stopped. And that's the problem right now. Nobody is stopping this fucking piece of shit, dude. Not the FBI, not the ATF, not the DEA, not the fucking DOJ, not the DHS, none of them. None of them that have the ability to do their jobs and arrest a sitting senator right now. None of these fucking output agencies are doing their damn jobs, dude. Instead, they are working with this piece of shit to try to fuck over our rights, to try to fuck over my rights, your rights, everybody else's rights for that matter. And I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm sick and tired of it, man. I really am. You know, I'm already having a bad day, by the way, for those who don't know. I had an appointment earlier this morning, and needless to say, it was a fucking shit show. Literally. It just wasn't fun at all, man. This is probably one of the worst doctors I've ever seen in my entire life, and I got to go see this guy again at some point in the future, and probably multiple times after this now. At least twice now, anyways, what it's going to be for this time, and then the next time, like a few months, is what it'll be. So, yeah, not fun at all. And just a really shitty day in general, and just his recommendations were fucking stupid. I'm going to say it like that right now. And it's like, what's the point of even doing this, dude, if you already know it's probably not going to work, is what it is. So anyway, I don't know, but either it just infuriates the hell out of me. And then, you know, listening to fucking dipshits like Chris Murphy trying to fuck over our rights federally, listening to these fucking idiots at the local level trying to fuck over our rights too. By the way, when I was out at that appointment this morning, we were driving when I was driving out there, because I was sitting in the passenger seat is what it was. I was trying to look for issue 1 signs, either yes or no people on them and stuff like that. And, you know, it was like a half-hour drive out there, if I'm not mistaken. You're talking about probably a good like 40 miles of 50 miles of driving one way is what it was, because it was all the way in another different county is what it was there. And not once until the very tail end did I see any of the vote no or vote yes signs for issue 1. And it wasn't until like maybe 3 to 4 miles out from the appointment place, right as we were hitting the one side that was like a suburb / estate place is what it would have been, was there one woman's fucking house that had a issue 1 is bullshit, issue 1 sign out there because she's a fucking moron is what it is, dude. And again, it's these dumbasses that don't even get it that are going to sit there and put out these fucking retard signs that should never have voted in this country over again is what it is, dude. And then as we were coming back, I'm not sure if it was the same way we were coming back to begin with or if we had taken a shortcut some other way, but basically there was other signs out there too that were both yes and no then. So you had the vote no one to begin with on the way there. And on the way back, I saw one yard that had 2 more vote no signs on it, where it was like one on this side and then one on the very tail end of the other part of the yard, and almost going into the next person's yard is what it was there. So you had basically one house that had like 2 vote no signs out there. And then on the other side of the street, you had, it was like maybe like a quarter of a mile up, even if that much. It was legit like this house is here. You have like one house there, another house there, and it's that second house or whatever was the vote yes signs. Because you had 2 different ones from them. They had a vote yes one that almost didn't realize it was vote yes one because it almost looked like a vote no sign is what the problem is there, dude. And that's really the issue entirely when you're doing signs like that. You need to have those be distinguishable if they're vote yes or vote no, dude, because if people just see a sign that looks very similar to one another is what it is, dude, they're going to think it's all vote no signs is what it is. And that's almost what I thought it was until I got like right up on top of it when we were passing it. And I'm just like, oh, it does say vote yes. I'm like, oh, okay. And then they had a second one that was in front of it that was the Ohio Right to Life people that were vote yes and stuff like that. So, yeah, those 2 different people that are obviously opposing each other is what it is. And then you had a little bit further up, there was another vote yes sign. And then a couple more up after that, there was another person that had a vote no sign. So basically there was 4 different vote no signs, 3 different vote yes signs. And it was in 5 different people's houses it would have been then. So it'll be interesting to see if this actually gets through or not. If you look at it from that perspective, it could be a coin flip, 50-50 shot if that be the case then. So, but either way, I just can't wait until August 8th, honestly. And I'm hoping that, fingers crossed, we get at least 50% of the vote or more for this whole thing. And what's funny to me, too, by the way, is you have these fucking jerk-off leftists when it comes to issue 1 there, too, as well. Going off a little tirade before we go back to the main stories of the day is what it is there. So you got these fucking jerk-offs who are all like, all over Reddit and a couple other social media sites being like, oh, the right should have to get this be a 60% voter base to pass it, otherwise it's fucking bullshit. I could say the same goddamn thing about you fucking leftist assholes that are against issue 1 and sucking Michael Bloomberg and George Soros's dicks at this point. You should have to get it to be voted down by a 60% margin. If you can't get it voted down by that, then fuck you, cunts. Because that's the entire point, dude. You don't have the fucking numbers here. Your stupid fucking retarded ass bullshit abortion garbage for November has already proven that, you fucking assholes. When you couldn't even get a fourth of the fucking voter base in this state that were registered voters at the time, by the way, not the new assholes, not the fucking 18-year-old little girls and young little boys who don't fucking know any better because they're too much dumbass fucking leftist kids being indoctrinated into the communist bullshit in the fucking school systems in the state entirely for the last 12 years of their fucking lives. And then you're going to sit there and be like, oh, we want you to sign no on this fucking, sign no on the thing or whatever, or vote, or sign this abortion petition or whatever the case be. You just have to be a registered voter first. So let's sign you up to register to vote and then put you on this fucking ballot. How is that even fucking legal, by the way? You're literally registering someone to vote for them to immediately put their fucking name to a piece of paper to pass some bullshit to kill human life is what it is, dude. Both of those things should be null and void on the fucking spot is what it is entirely, dude. Both their registered vote should be fucking null and void, and their fucking signature for that stupid ass ballot initiative would have been then. Because that is one thing that honestly has infuriated the fuck out of me for years now, that you can even legally do shit like that in this state or this country for that matter, because you shouldn't be able to. You should have to have at least a 24-hour grace period between the times of doing those things, dude. Between the time somebody is a registered voter and the times that they sign to anything in this country. You know, whether it be to be military drafted, whether it be to sign some fucking abortion petition or some legal weed petition or whatever it is, then that'd be the case. You know, or anything for that matter, anti-gun petition, whatever it is, dude. if you are not a registered voter for at least 24 hours before that, you should not be legally allowed to sign that shit, dude, entirely. Like, it shouldn't just be like, oh, here, sign this. Oh, 30 seconds later, sign this. Fuck that, dude. Fuck that shit entirely. So, yeah, it just infuriates the hell out of me entirely, dude. It really does. Because to me, honestly, it's just another example of voter fraud in this state, in this country. And the shit that Frank LaRose, being Secretary of State, refuses to even investigate when he's literally has the job to do that thing. Instead, he's sitting there fucking pissing away time and money, being like, well, now I'm running for U.S. Senate. Then fucking give up the Secretary of State's office, bitch. Like, honestly, if there's one thing that pisses me off the most about LaRose in general, it is his stupid fucking bullshit when he was grandstanding at some random-ass fucking $100 a plate dinner, whatever the fuck it was, at some, like, GOP convention thing not long ago, where he got up on the stage and was like, oh, issue 1 is 100% about abortion, after, like, months-long things lying about being that thing. Because the thing is, it's not 100% about abortion, you fucking idiot. Yes, it's about saving human life from fucking demon pieces of shit in Planned Parenthood, etc., but it's also about gun rights. It's also about saving human life. It's also about literally stopping tyrant globalists like Michael Bloomberg, George Soros, the rest of the fucking members of Bilderberg, etc., to have their goddamn fucking out-of-state noses in our fucking business, dude. And that's what pisses me off the most about this whole thing. That's why I'm going to call these fuckers by name, too, by the way. Because nobody in this whole thing, I don't care if it's Ohio Right to Life, I don't care if it is fucking LaRose, or any other state rep in this, or any of the state reps in this state that are talking about voting yes on issue 1, or anything else like that, or any of the state senators for that matter as well for that whole thing. Every single one of them is always like, out-of-state special interest. Say what the fuck they are. Say who the fuck they are, dude. Say it like it is. It's every town for gun safety. It's fucking Moms Demand Action chapters. It's these fucking anti-gun cunts that are the ones pushing the shit. It's the fucking douchebag bought and paid for Soros shills at the fucking ACLU, whose entire campaign it was to be paid to go out there and get the fucking abortion numbers up so they can get enough for the fucking ballot measure in November is what it was. If it wasn't for these assholes being paid to do that shit, dude, and doing canvassing, being paid to do so, they would have never got that 700,000 number is what it was, dude. You would have had maybe like 100,000 people at most being out there if it was actual people that were just volunteers not being paid to do anything. They would have maybe got 100,000 voters and stuff like that, if even that many. But no, you have people getting paid like crazy to go out there and do that, and you keep paying people to do it is what it is. Of course you're going to have people go out there and get a bunch of numbers, especially when they're probably being paid per fucking signature is my guess, honestly. So it's like, yeah, you make 20, 30 signatures or whatever the case be, and you get, $5, $10 a piece for them, whatever it is there, dude, depending on what their going rate would be at that point then. Of course they're going to try and hit those numbers and those goals and stuff like that. So it's just infuriating as fuck, dude, to think about that and being like, you have these individuals that want to sit there and claim that they run the state, yet they're not doing their job to actually call out the special interest groups by fucking name that are behind this shit, that are paying for the vote no on issue 1. And it is Michael Bloomberg. It is George Soros. It's the same fucking assholes who have wanted to disarm us forever, dude. And that's the thing, too, by the way. Calling them out by name, dude, you can literally call Soros a fucking Nazi collaborator then, because he fucking is. The motherfucker made that 60 Minutes interview like 10, 15 years ago that he literally fled Nazi Germany. I believe it was actually Poland area of the Nazi Germany occupations and stuff like that back in the early days of Hitler's regime and stuff like that. As like a teenage kid with his uncle or whatever. And then it was like a couple years later, he went back under the guise of not being a Jewish dude anymore and started working with the SS Guard and Hitler's regimes and stuff like that to go over to random places, out other Jewish people that had farms and properties and everything else like that, so that he could then have them taken off to the fucking death camps and steal their fucking property and sell it for a profit. And any kind of other things that they had that were worth any money. Like if it was like a gold, chalice or something like that, or some kind of like, maybe a silver, like sterling silver set or something like that was their family's like actual wealth and stuff. He would take all that stuff and make it into his own profit, then if that be the case. And that's exactly how he became a multimillionaire to begin with, was stealing other people's fortunes and then literally parlaying that into various like stock market exchange stuff is what it was, to then become a multi-millionaire that then led to him being a billionaire, and over time it did other stuff, and now he's multi-trillionaire is what it is. And that's the entire point of the matter, is you had this man who literally helped send people to their deaths in the who knows how many. Could have been dozens, could have been hundreds, could have been thousands of fucking people. And yet we're still allowing this fucking old Nazi collaborator piece of shit, George Soros, to be alive today and not be brought up on all kinds of crimes and community charges at this point, dude. Hell, there's a reason why we had the Nuremberg Code back in the 1930s and 40s and stuff like that, dude. When you had the Nazi people that were on trial in those Nuremberg trials being put to death. And the fact that George Soros has still been able to evade that shit in every single country that he's in right now. The fact that every single asset this fucker has isn't being freezed and seized to this day is absolutely fucking ridiculous, dude. It should have been freezed and seized decades ago. This dude should have been stopped in his fucking tracks at least a half century ago. And the fact that he hasn't been is everything wrong with this country right now, honestly. Because it's his fucking money that's funding these DAs in multiple states. It's his fucking money and his finances that are funding these campaigns against stuff like Issue 1 here in Ohio. And it's a bunch of bullshit entirely, dude. The only thing that's bullshit is the fucking assholes funding the Vote No campaign on Issue 1. That's the real truth of the matter. And like I said, I can't wait until August 8th. And I'm like praying to God every day that this fucking shit passes, dude. Because if it doesn't, I know what the fight's going to be ahead. And it's going to be me having to go out there and find other people that can fund lawsuits and start suing the shit out of everybody at this point, dude. Because that's what's going to need to be, honestly. For us to actually win this fight here, it's going to need to be people be willing to actually bring up lawsuits and have other people that could fund the fucking lawsuits is what it is. Because obviously people like me who are poor as shit can't do it on our own is what it is, man. So, anyway. Speaking of lawsuits in this episode, we're going to talk about another topic today, which is, actually we'll talk about two different topics here. So, you got topic number 1 here, which is about New York City, specifically the douchebag BLM terrorist rioters. Democrat-run New York City to pay $13 million to 1,380 rioting assholes. Fucking ridiculous, dude. So an easy way to doom your city is to pay 1,380 rioters $9,950 each, which is precisely what Democrat-run New York City is doing now. So before we go any further, police officers can and do go too far. And who's writing this anyway? John Nolte was on the writing this. He said, I am not a knee-jerk back to blue guy. Never have been. When cops go too far, there should be accountability. Yeah, qualified immunity shouldn't exist is what it is, dude. So this insane payoff has nothing to do with accountability. New York Democrats are settling a class action lawsuit that is pure madness and a perfect way to ensure rioters riot while police officers stand by and do nothing, especially in the future is what it is. And not to mention they can sue again in the future is what it would be then. So knowing the city will hang themselves out to dry at every opportunity. Says if 1,380 rioters believe their civil rights were violated during the George Floyd 1619 riots, then each one should be required to file an individual lawsuit and make their case. Exactly. Yes, they should be, dude. Said to pay off 1,380 assholes indiscriminately is insane. A way to tell rioters that rioting pays and pays well. Yes, it does. Says Mayor Bill de Blasio instituted a curfew, the city's first in 75 years as the shooting waned. Police officers dispersed or arrested people who were marching outside the prescribed hours, according to New York State Attorney General's office. The police made over 2,000 arrests between May 28th and June 7th, 2020. New York Times journalists covered the protests, saw officers repeatedly charge at protesters, rioters, out after curfew with a little apparent provocation, shoving people onto the sidewalks and striking them with batons. Again, there is a handful of people there, and I'm not going to lie, when you look at the actual rioting footage, people getting like shoved to the ground or, you know, heads smashed in with batons and stuff like that. Okay, you as an individual, maybe you should be getting money. Maybe you should be getting a payday in this whole thing as an individual lawsuit, not as some bullshit class action, dude. Now, with the rest of these assholes that didn't get nothing to happen to them is what it is. So some cuffs slapped on for being a bunch of fucking arsonists and shit like that. Let's see. So some of the people who stood to receive payments under the class action lawsuit were arrested. Others were not taken into custody, but the suit asserted were subject to police conduct meant to impede and deter their ability to exercise First Amendment rights. You have no First Amendment right when you are literally throwing fucking Molotov cocktails into buildings and setting them on fire, you fucking cunts. This is the entire, like, honestly, dude, and I've said it before, I'll say it again. If there's one thing I regret, it was not having a fuck ton of money back in 2020 where I could have immediately started an armed security company, because there would have been so many of my armed security guys in all these fucking different cities and stuff like that doing shit, man, and beating some ass at that point. And taking fucking names is what it would have been. It wouldn't even been funny, man. If they tried to sue us, good fucking luck suing us, because you probably would have got Rittenhoused those nights is what it would have been, dude, for being a bunch of terrorist rioters. So anyway. Or wait, would it be Rittenhoused or Rosenbaum? I can't remember which one would actually be the one then. Because technically it'd be getting the Rosenbaum treatment, what it would have been then if that would be the case. But anyway. Said far left New York City's New York Times paints a distorted and undoubtedly manipulated picture of what police officers were out of control that night, and then went on to play a bunch of bullshit is what it was, dude. It's all a bunch of crap at the end of the day. But yeah, just a bunch of horseshit in general. And then also, speaking of other lawsuits that we want to talk about today, possible lawsuits anyway, we had this particular story that I thought was very interesting. This is a Bass Pro Shop story, which is Bass Pro Shop's background check policy raises questions. It says Cecil Trumbull, a 35-year-old restaurant manager, took a fishing reel to Bass Pro Shop's Tampa store last week to be respooled. Why you wouldn't just respool it yourself is beyond me, because that's easy to do, man. But anyway, that's besides the point. Said as he was waiting, he wandered over to the gun department and immediately spotted the subject of his desire. Said Trumbull had been searching for a SIG P365 X macro for weeks. The problem was, so was everybody else. It said when he found out the price of it, he did not hesitate, told the salesperson he wanted it, filled out a 4473 and handed over his Florida concealed weapons or Florida license, Florida firearm license, which exempts him from a waiting period. Said he had purchased numerous firearms from that Bass Pro Shops in the past, so he expected to walk out the door with his new pistol in minutes. Says, quote, the clerk came over to me, quote, the ATF has approved you, but we're denying the purchase, Trumbull told the Second Amendment Foundation's Investigative Journalist Project earlier this week. So astounded, Trumbull demanded to know what was going on. The salesperson told him his brother-in-law tried to buy a firearm at the store a month ago, but self-denied on the 4473, most likely because he misread one of the questions, which, by the way, I've done enough 4473s in my own time that I can tell you right now, dude, there is deceptive-ass language the way that those fucking questions are written in some of those cases, because you could easily, if you're only like, kind of glancing over whatever the case be, you could easily put like no instead of yes or yes instead of no, when in reality it should have been the opposite answer if that be the case then. And yeah, it would be very easy to do that stuff. And that whole thing entirely is exactly why it's a bunch of BS. And why I've said for some time now, besides that, almost 4 years ago, we all know I was federally swatted back in August of 2019, when you had the fucking feds literally check mark off a bunch of names of guns from the serial numbers that they got from 4473s of guns that I had bought legally in this state, in this country. That's when we have a fucking problem, dude. That's when you know for a fact the federal government has a fucking gun roster / gun registry already. The only reason that you have assholes, going back to story number 1 in this episode, Chris Murphy, dickhead senator, trying to make a gun roster / registry a reality in like out and about now is what it is. And so they can actually do the backdoor shit they've been doing for decades now and have it be at the fucking forefront and actually have like a massive database then that would be like searchable is what it would be then. And most likely, I'm guessing, honestly, if they got what they really wanted, it wouldn't just be searchable to federal agencies and stuff like that, or even like state cops and stuff. It would be searchable to everyday citizens, and you would have people being doxxed left and right, and you would have gun owners across this country having their fucking homes broken into when they're not home and having their shit stolen from them by criminals. And if nothing else, you would have a bunch of Antifa and BLM-style terrorists doxing the shit out of their houses and stuff like that, talking about doing direct actions on their homes, and that's what it would be, man. So that's what the real endgame is for these fucking people, is what it is. And I know that for a fact because I can fucking see it right now, man. That's why I'm talking about it. But anyway, going back to the... let's see, going back to where I was at now. It said... okay, yeah, so the brother-in-law had self-denied in 473 by misreading a question. Unfortunately, his brother-in-law, who had lived with him several years ago but moved out, had never changed his address on his driver's license. Said, quote, I asked the clerk how this had anything to do with me, and he said it was Bass Pro Shop's policy not to sell any firearms to anyone living at the same address as someone who had been denied. Trumbull said, he hasn't lived there in 3 to 4 years. I get the straw purchase thing, but he was trying to buy an X number dollar revolver, and I was trying to buy something that was 4 times that much. Said the firearms manager agreed with him, but could not get the GM of compliance on the phone to talk it out. As it stands now, as Trumbull said, as it stands now, I or anyone living at my address are barred from buying guns at Bass Pro Shops ever again. Well, this is the... Okay, so here and that's the thing right now. Right, what he said just right there is exactly what brings us to the lawsuit part of this whole thing, because that guy has a very good lawsuit against Bass Pro Shops. You cannot sit there and honestly tell me they haven't pulled the same shit with other people across this country, dude, where you could potentially turn that lawsuit into a class action lawsuit against that corporation for denying people's rights to bear arms in this country. And if that be the case, you would have Bass Pro Shops pretty much being owned by the people that wanted to buy guns from them years ago and got denied like that. Like, they would each own their own store at that point, at least, in those lawsuits. So that's a huge problem to me, honestly, entirely. And that's the thing. And I've talked about this before, actually, if I'm not mistaken, when it comes to 4473 stuff. There's a lot of people that have, like, very similar names to other people, man. Hell, I remember when I went up to my local gun shop one time here, there was a dude up there talking about it with one of the store owners and stuff like, or not store owners, he was talking with one of the managers about it. And he was saying something along the lines of, like, are you guys going to deny me again like you did like 3 months ago or something like that? And they're like, what do you mean? He's like, oh, yeah, I came up here that one time to buy like that rifle or whatever, and y'all denied me because I have a similar name to somebody who's on like a no-fly, no-buy list. And that's what it is. When you have those, like, again, going back to government overreach and government tyranny and stuff like that, when you have those bullshit things like the no-fly, no-buy thing that they never tell you you're actually a prohibited person after that, dude, when you're like on the no-fly list, you could basically have like a same name like Brian Johnson or Alex Jones, for God's sakes. Or even just like, Doug Jones or something like that. And there's like 20 Doug Jones out there. And one of the Doug Joneses just happens to be on a no-fly, no-buy list. And guess what? Now the other 19 Doug Joneses are going to be prohibited people pretty much, because they're always going to be denying a thing unless they would have like some kind of code thing. And by the way, there actually is a thing you can get to do 4473s where it's basically like a personal ID number, PIN kind of thing or whatever. But even still, that makes it even worse then, because all you're doing then is saying, hey, big government fuckers over here, this is me buying this shit, so now you guys know exactly every single gun I ever have ever again now is what it is. Where in reality, you could be like, well, that's just the same name as somebody else, dude. I didn't buy that gun. You don't have any proof I did, is what it is. And that's the entire point of the matter, is you have people there that are being fucked over, having their rights fucked over, all because big government wants to keep an active gun roster, gun registry, etc. on every American citizen in this country. And is one of the most unconstitutional things ever created, is what it is, dude. Background check system is entirely bullshit. It's why I don't support it, never will support it ever again. And nobody else really should either, for that matter, dude. In fact, we should be demanding that there is no 4473s at all ever again in this country. If you are over the age of 21 in this country as an adult, and I would even go as far as to say lower to 18 for that matter, if you're over the age of 18 in this country, if you can legally go join military services and stuff like that, dude, you should be able to walk into a gun shop, just like that one scene out of, what's that movie? Highwaymen, where Kevin Costner walks in the gun shop and is like talking to the store owner guy and his grandson or whatever the kid is to him. And it's like, yeah, let me see this, and this. And he has like 10 guns on the thing. And he's like, which one will it be? And I was like, I'm take all of them. And that's what it should be. You should be able to go in there and buy, 8, 10 guns at once, all full auto, by the way, and throw down a bunch of cash, several $1,000s it would be at that point. You know, depending, obviously, inflation would probably be, you know, tens of thousands at this point, I'm guessing, honestly, for that amount of weaponry. And be able to walk out the door with every single one of them, dude. And you should have no problem with that, because that's how America should work. We should be truly the land of the free, home of the brave at this point. But unfortunately, we're not. We are, you know, lands of fees and homes of slaves is what it is, man. Because in reality, we're all debt slaves. And it's a bunch of shit entirely, man. But anyway. Going back to finish off the rest of the story, though. Let's see where we're at now. Yeah, the guy was saying how he could no person from his address could ever buy a Bass Pro Shops gun again. So he pointed out that his brother-in-law is retired military, has a Florida concealed carry holder license, and is not a prohibited person. He must have misread a question of 4473. The staff would not relent, though. Said, my main gripe with this is, what if I moved into an apartment and a previous tenant was denied? According to Bass Pro Shops, I couldn't disprove it, was not a straw purchase, and I could never buy a gun from them again. And again, he brought up a great point on that one as well. That would be another reason why there's a class action lawsuit potentially. There's what it is, dude. So anyway, continuing on here then, it says Bass Pro Shops response said neither Bass Pro Shops corporate communications nor staff member Jaron Ritchie, general manager of the Tampa facility, responded to multiple calls and emails seeking comments for the story. Said calls to Bass Pro Firearms compliance directors were referred to their corporate communications staff, who also did not respond. Multiple calls to the Tampa store's gun department finally produced a brief interview with quote-unquote Joe, who said he was one of the store's managers. Joe did not provide his last name. Was it Joe Biden? Joe Mama? That would make sense, actually. So anyway, so at first he tried to blame the ATF, but then later admitted, we do keep a data log on this. Okay, so again, another lawsuit waiting to happen in that whole situation, dude, because they're keeping an active gun registry at the fucking store, dude. Said, however, he would not discuss or disclose their corporate background check policy. Says, quote, again, sir, we are talking about things that I, at the store level, am not allowed to go into, is what he claimed in that interview. Says, takeaways, it's important to keep in mind that the gun dealer can refuse to transfer a firearm to anyone for any reason. In fact, they don't need a reason to refuse a sale. Also, the Biden-Harris administration has declared war on gun dealers. Havel's revocations has increased more than 500% under Biden since Biden illegally took office in this country. Since if ATF was able to revoke the FFL of a big box store like Bass Pro Shops, the results would be catastrophic for a store and its customers. Therefore, it is easy to understand why the sporting goods chain would want to be very careful when transferring firearms. Still, Bass Pro's straw purchase fears do not make much sense in this case. Straw purchases usually happen within 72 hours of a denial, not a month later, and nearly all of them involve the same gun, not two different guns for different prices. Says Tremble was also able to find and purchase that same gun at a local gun store the next day. The whole ordeal reminded him of another corporate mishap. Said, quote, remember when Dick's became anti-gun? This could be a slippery slope like Dick's went through. Said they're not preventing straw purchases. I answered that question on a federal form, which should be good enough. Bass Pro told me I'd get a call back from them the next day. I'm still waiting for that call. I'm guessing that's probably weeks to months later now. Says fine. So legally, Bass Pro can conduct whatever policies they want, but they also should be willing to explain them when asked by the public. Even at the highest level of their lunacy, Dick still managed to do that one. Yeah, it's fucking nuts, dude. It really is. And like I said, the whole entire problem here is that you have people who are actively trying to fuck over people's rights is what it is. And at the same time, opening themselves up to class action lawsuits in this situation, and actually any kind of lawsuit for that matter. Because if you're sitting there denying people being like, oh, we don't know it's going to be a straw purchase. Yeah, because it's really going to happen over a month after that with a different gun, dude. No, you're just fucking idiots that want to sit there and cover your own asses, and instead of actually explaining shit to someone, you're going to cuck out and be like, oh, we're just going to pull a Dick's now. Then why are you even a big box chain anymore, dude? And that's the biggest thing right now entirely. And this is exactly why, by the way, and I've heard for years now that Bass Pro / Cabela's is one of the worst places to buy guns from entirely in this country. That is why I would never do business with people ever again when it comes to gun sales of any kind, dude. Mostly because of the fact that when they the ones that I've heard, the horror stories I've heard, it was basically people trying to go in there and check out a gun, and they wouldn't even unlock the fucking trigger lock for them to do an actual like test and figure out and see if the actual pull of the gun was even like able to handle it or not, dude. For the actual what do you call it? Like weight of the triggers, what it would be. So if it's like an 8, like a 6 or 8 or 10 pound trigger, whatever the case be, and they wanted to pull the trigger to see if it was like good to go or whatever, they wouldn't even allow them to do that like one time. They were like, oh no, you got to buy the gun first. Fuck you, dude. I want to figure out how the fuck it feels in my damn hand, you jackass. Because many gun stores, especially local gun shops for that matter, will let you do stuff like that. You just have to ask them first, is what it is. Or at least it's polite to ask them first. Some would just be like seeing people do it and they'd be like, it's kind of not cool, bro. Because you didn't ask first or whatever. And that's why you technically should ask them first. Because I remember a couple times when I was buying guns up there, actually, up at my local shop and stuff up there in Belden. I was checking out the guns and stuff like that. I'm like, you're cool with me pulling the trigger, right, on this? And they're like, yeah, go ahead. And I was like, well, you want me to point it and stuff like that just to make sure I'm not, flagging anybody, anything like that. And they were just like, oh, well, you got the deer heads. Because I think it was like deer heads and there was like a moose head and stuff like that at the top of the shop there. So you can go up to the top there. And it's like, yeah, just point at one of the heads is what they were saying there. And that's what I did. I, pointed it upwards at the thing and I was like checking out the trigger and stuff like that. It felt good in my hand, honestly. And that's why I bought that gun. And that's the entire point, dude. Like, that might be the actual thing that somebody needs to be their final say and stuff like that if they want that gun or not. And if you're going to sit there and tell them they can't even have the ability to pull said trigger one time to test it out, maybe they're not going to buy that gun, or at least not buy it from your fucking place. Maybe they'll go to some other shop then and buy it from them, and then you just lost yourselves a sale if that'd be the case then. So, to me, that's just dumb entirely. It's a stupid fucking policy to begin with. And then on top of that, now we see this bullshit where they're denying people because it's like, oh, well, somebody fucked up, forgot to change their address from in the first place entirely on that one. You would think, though, because especially if you're when you're doing gun sales and stuff like that, and you're actually going to buy a gun and stuff, usually it will say, like, is this your home address on the thing as well? So it's like, even that be the case, then that would have been a second denial thing for that guy then. Because obviously it wasn't his home address then. Maybe that was actually the question. Maybe that was what he did wrong. That's what it was. He put the old address on there or whatever, where he used to live a couple years ago because he never changed it or whatever. And it came back with like a registry thing where it's like, oh, he's actually at a different address now or something like that. Because that could be the thing entirely. That'd be the case, man. And if that be the case, and that makes it even worse then, because it's like, yeah, he wasn't denied because he misanswered a question or whatever the case be. It was because he had a different address than what was on the fucking thing is what it would have been then. So, I don't know. Either way, it's a bunch of bullshit entirely, man. And it really does start to piss me off more and more every single day I see shit like this, man. Because it's like, we should be in a country where we are one of the freest, if not freest nation on earth right now, just based on our constitutional founding of this fucking nation and the founding documents that our founding fathers literally fought their lives for against the British Empire to make this country a reality, to make us a free nation in 1776. And if we're not going to be that in 2023, then what the fuck are we going to be, dude? Oh yeah, that's right. We're going to be knuckling under to a bunch of cheating, pedophile, tyrant pieces of fucking shit entirely. I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm sick and tired of doing that shit, man. I really fucking am. So. Sorry, getting a little bit of dry mouth here. But anyway. Yeah, I'm just over it all, man. I really am. But, yeah, that being said, Chris Murphy's a cuck. He needs to be arrested on multiple charges right now. You have every anti-gunner in this state, in this country, who needs to be arrested on various charges for every time that they put their names to gun control. They should be arrested on the spot. They should be removed from office, automatic disqualification, stuff like that. This is just another great proof of exactly why we need auto DQs of the 20th Amendment of the Constitution in this nation right now. And why we would need to have, on top of that, people that are trying to run for office that are running on anti-gun or anti-life style platforms and stuff like that, immediately disqualified from the running. and we'd have a much better representation than if that be the case in this country. And yeah, term limits on every seat of power as well on that one. And I think we'd be better off as a nation after that be the case. So, anyway. I don't think there's much of anything else I want to talk about today, but maybe there is. I don't know. Let me go check just to make sure. I don't think there really was. Let's see here. Let's see. It's a bunch of Biden stuff that we already kind of know about. A bunch of Sound of Freedom stuff. Actually, we'll talk about this one for a hot minute right now. This is why this right here is why Gavin Newsom needs one of about 100 fucking reasons that Gavin Newsom needs to be removed as California's current governor right now, dude, and be arrested for high treason and stuff like that. Newsom wants power to fine school districts that resist LGBTQIA plus curriculum. Fuck you, you pedophile fuck. This is California Governor Gavin Newsom, long used to attacking conservative states over their exclusion of LGBTQ curriculum, is targeting local school districts in his own state by backing a draconian bill to force compliance. Dude, I'll tell you what, we really are coming to a breaking point in this country, and that's exactly what I've said before. It's not only going to be within, state versus state, like red state versus blue state. It's going to be red states versus the blue cities in them, or it's going to be red cities versus the blue state that they sit in when it's all said and done. And it's going to be people having to fight back against tyranny. And you're going to be having to fight tyranny every single day when things pop off. Every single day, every single minute for that matter. And we are to a point right now where there is no turning back in this country, honestly. We've already gone way too far down the fucking tracks for the shit to just be stopped right now and the brakes be put on everything else like that and it just starts rolling backwards or whatever. No, we're going to have to confront it head on, knock it the fuck off the track entirely, and watch it be a fucking steaming pile of shit on fire on the bottom of the fucking ravine when it's all said and done, man. That's what's going to have to happen right now. And I believe, truthfully, it's only a matter of time before that does. And what that looks like, I have no idea right now. Could be a civil war, could be balkanization, could be a revolution kind of event, could be a fucking world war for that matter. Could be a bunch of jackasses trying to draw us into a world war that turns into a civil war then at a state/country level as it would be then. So, I don't know. There's a lot of crazy shit happening anymore. I was watching a video earlier that I can't show on this stream or anything like that, unfortunately. But it's basically something that's on Twitter there, and it was some dude showing what appears to be another terrorist attack over there in France that even the mainstream media refuses to report over there in France because it was done by Islamic terrorists is what it was. Because, of course, that's what they'd love to do, man. They love to deny that shit's happening when you allow these fucking groups of people who are never going to actually assimilate into your country to take your fucking country over. And that's what they're trying to do right now, right here in America, by having our southern border open to every goddamn illegal across the fucking border that wants to come in here and fucking rape our country from the inside out, and every other motherfucker they're bringing in after bullshit like their withdrawals in Afghanistan and stuff like that, even though you cannot properly vet these fucking people because there's no real documentation to actually vet their asses that they're not fucking terrorists, or they won't be future terrorists for that matter. So why the fuck even let them in our damn country, dude? Oh yeah, that's right, we fucking shouldn't. But yet you have dickhead Democrats loving to do that shit every fucking day. And where do they resettle these fuckers? Most of the time in red states where you have dipshit governors like that asshole Mike DeWine take a bunch of fucking ass clowns in here in the last 6 months to a year or so, even though he had no legal right to do so against us, dude. That kind of thing, if you're going to do shit like that, bro, should go right to the fucking voters. Do you choose to bring these people into your country? Okay, if you're going to vote yes, then guess what? You as a voter take responsibility for housing at least one of them in your fucking home then. And if you're not willing to do that, then fuck you. They're not coming into our fucking country anymore, motherfuckers. We're not letting them take our resources. We're not letting them fucking fuck over our food supply and lower the amount of food that we can have ourselves by taking out of our fucking mouths and our fucking kids' mouths and our fucking grandkids' mouths and putting it in their fucking, nasty ass fucking face hole is what it is, man. Because hell, we already saw what those fuckers do in places like New York City there when they gave them the hotel rooms and stuff like that. They trashed the fucking places in like a day and a half. And you want to sit here and tell me these people are going to culturally enrich my country? Fucking no, they're not. They're fucking not going to do that, dude. They're going to culturally turn my fucking country into a third world shithole from the first world nation it should always fucking be. And I'll be damned if I don't fucking say something about it now, dude, because I'm so fucking fed up with these people now. I really am. Every single place that Islam has gone that has taken over is now worse off. Every single country that Islamic terrorism goes into, where it is a minority in that country, when it becomes a majority, there are no religions in that country that aren't Islam after that. Why would you ever allow it to be taken into your country? It makes no sense unless your entire agenda is to have a globalist takeover by a fucking literal cult that wants to call itself a religion. And of course they're trying to disarm us at the same time. That's why they're trying to do it, by the way. When you have dickheads like Chris Murphy, Richard Blumenthal, fucking Sherrod Brown, who also at state federal level, Maxwell Frost, this new asshole Gen Z dipshit in Congress. All these fucking anti-gunners on the left, dude. And even on the right, for that matter. Your Rob Portman types are no longer in power because his dumbass finally got kicked out is what it was. You have all these fucking people who are willing to sell out the American citizens' rights because it's either going to be a tyrannical government demociding us in the future, putting us up against a wall, whatever the case be, or it's going to be that same government sitting back, standing back, hands up, whatever the case be, while you have takeovers by Islam, by fucking third worlders from Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala, etc. MS-13 gang members and cartel people like that and stuff like that. It's going on mass murder sprees against American people, and we have no tools in which to stop their asses from doing that because we've been disarmed, because we've had our guns taken away from us, so that now only the cops and the criminals have guns in this country now. I don't know about you, man, but for me personally, that is not a fucking country I'm willing to live in right now. Now or ever, for that matter, actually. I want to make that very clear. And I will be damned if these fuckers, especially after August 12th, 2019, if they ever try to fuck with my rights ever again, dude. August 12th, 2019 was a fucking breaking point for me. It was a flashpoint in this country, and it was how quickly my personal rights could be fucked with for thought crimes. Thought crimes, for God's sakes. Saying something, using your First Amendment to say words, is now a fucking crime in this country, according to these dickheads. But then after grilling me for over an hour of my fucking life, scaring the shit out of me, making me believe I was going to be arrested over some bullshit, and now potentially face federal prison time for it, they leave with telling me, we wasted 6 days on this. And had I known that's what it was going to be from the jump, there would have been a lawyer standing right next to me that's like, excuse me? Oh, thank you for giving us the evidence. Now that we're going to sue the fuck out of you and take both of your fucking badges, you little bitches. Which is exactly what I should have done that day. Should have had next to me that day. So that Tim and his fucking idiot Wish.com looking Hank Schrader ass partner no longer had their fucking federal agency credentials anymore, dude. And now you have this shit happening all the time anymore. You had this one guy the other day, I was watching the video with, I think NEA was on the plate the other day, where it was some dude opening his door to fucking ATF agents, talking about FRT triggers he looked up online, by the way. Didn't even buy the stuff, yet looked up a fucking trigger on a website, and because he looked up a fucking trigger, now the ATF agents are knocking on his door being like, well, you might be in possession of illegal machine guns according to our fucking dickhead definitions. No, he wasn't, and he never would be, you fucking assholes, because number one, a fucking trigger is not a goddamn machine gun, you fucking morons. And number two, we have the legal right in this fucking country to own whatever the fuck we want to own, and you dickheads don't have the right to stop that, and your little NFA fucking bullshit on constitutional garbage from 1934, 89 fucking years ago, should not exist right now to this day, because it's the last fucking remnant of the goddamn Prohibition era, where you had mobsters like Al Capone going out there with Tommy guns and blowing up fucking buildings and shit like that. And doing gang warfare out in the streets. And that's why the whole NFA was created to begin with, dude. It wasn't created to stop American citizens, just everyday average Joe Blows, from doing shit, man. It was to supposedly stop the fucking gangsters, but then, of course, was used as an overreach thing to fuck over everyday people is what it was. And even when you look back in the history of the 34 NFA and stuff like that, they apparently back in those days, they had like police trading revolvers and stuff like that back then. And they were trying to put those on the NFA, but realized that the people that were buying them were like everyday farmers and stuff like that for their homesteads. And were like, oh, they can't afford a $200 tax stamp. Why would we tax stamp them then? Why would you tax stamp anybody for that matter? Because even today, dude, seriously, for me right now, $200 tax stamp, bro, you might as well say that's a gun for me in most cases. And not to mention the fact that nobody really wants to talk about this. I mean, there's a couple that I've heard talk about it in the last 6 months or so, but not very much and not very in-depth about it. If you have an NFA item, whether it be a suppressor, whether it be a short-barreled shotgun, short-barreled rifle, any other weapon, whatever the case be, doesn't really matter. Anything that's on the NFA registry, once you pay that money for that $200 tax stamp, you no longer have Fourth Amendment rights in this country. The ATF can come into your house, kick your fucking door in without a warrant, and snatch up every fucking gun that you own right now. So why would you ever put yourself in that position? Yeah, I know suppressors are cool. Yeah, I know everything else like that's cool. But why would you do it, man? It's fucking dumb. Don't do it. If you haven't done it yet, don't do it. Don't give them the power to fuck with your rights. And also in that same vein of things, stop buying tax stamps to begin with, because all you're doing is justifying an unconstitutional illegal act that's been on the books for almost 90 fucking years now, that should have been not on the books for 89 fucking years, for God's sakes. That is how we deal with the NFA, dude. Stop buying tax stamps. Stop justifying the fucking bullshit taxation system, and we can get rid of it once for fucking all in one quick lawsuit then. And it's as simple as that. God, I'm fucking pissed today. I'm justifiably pissed right now, honestly, dude. I really am. So, anyway. I think that's pretty much it for the day, though. I'll be back at some point, hopefully. I don't know. I hope this don't get channel struck. It better not be. Don't fucking channel strike me, YouTube. Everything I said is going to First Amendment free speech, bitches. So, as long as this doesn't get channel struck down, I will be back at some point in the future. I'm trying to think now. Let's see, today is Friday. Tomorrow's Saturday. I'm debating right now because my niece is coming in for the weekend. So I can't remember if she is leaving Sunday night or Monday morning. So it would be, I'm obviously going to do the chat with Honda and them Sunday night. But I'm not sure if I'll do anything on my own channel tomorrow or Sunday. It might just be hanging out with the niece and stuff. Spending some quality family time together with everybody. And then, maybe we'll wait until like Monday morning or something like that to do something on the channel then. Unless, of course, something crazy kicks off. Like again, like I said before, man, if World War III suddenly kicks off, like, yeah, we'll be on here talking about like World War III just kicked off. Time is now, people. So, anyway. But, other than that, that's pretty much where we're at for the day. I'm going to go do some stuff here in a little bit, game related, and then I'm probably going to take a nap for a while because as I was talking to the new doctor today, we're talking about how I was tired all the time. In this case, it makes sense why I was tired last night because we had a whole storm front come through and the humidity was like kicking up like crazy, and it was like every hour and a half or so I was waking up out of a dead sleep because my neck was so sweaty, even with the fan on full blast and stuff like that. And it just wasn't fun at all. So I think a lot of that in the last month or so is just from heat related and stuff like that. But then there's other times where it's just like joint pain from, just like everyday joint pain. And then this fucking guy is trying to tell me I don't have rheumatoid arthritis now, which I think is bullshit entirely, because then he even admitted after the fact, he was like, well, you might have it. It might just be that the shit you're on is actually suppressing it enough to where I can't actually feel it in your bone area. And it's like, well, obviously I have something going on with my joints and stuff, dude, because when both of my kneecaps, just to the touch, hurt like a bitch, when on my fucking arm right here, I can literally touch on the inner side of it, not even touch on the inner side of it, just have it sit here, and it is in constant aching pain right now, like right in the fucking joint. Like, obviously there's something going on there, whether it be regular arthritis, whether it be rheumatoid arthritis, I don't fucking know, but it's like, obviously there's something there, buddy. So it's like, yeah, I should be able to be qualified for something at this point, disability, at least partially anyway, or something similar to that, if that'd be the case. So, I don't know. Who knows anymore? Oh, and then that was a good one. So this motherfucker's trying to tell me I got a Hep C and shit today, and I'm just like, what? It's like, when the fuck did that get put in my file? I think somebody fucked up big time is what it was, because what it is actually is because the medication I'm on, I got to take a yearly TB test. And I've never had TB, by the way. And I'm wondering if somehow the TB, some dumbass wrote in as Hep C then, instead of writing it TB negative, they wrote it as Hep C positive or something like that. So now I got to go get a Hep C test done now. And it's like, Jesus fucking Christ, man. Like, y'all are retarded, buddy. Seriously. Because we asked me that, because it was myself and my mom in the office with them and stuff like that. And we're just like, no, I've never had Hep C, dude. Why would I have Hep C? Unless somebody stuck me with a fucking needle that had somebody else's blood in it and give me Hep C, and then somebody's going to get their ass sued in the future, so it'll be. Probably everybody, if that'd be the case then now. But yeah, that's the only way I'd get that shit for sure, man. So, anyway. Fucking ridiculous, man. Hell, maybe that's why I'm in such pain all the time, is what it is, dude. Some dickhead fucking took my blood at one point and fucking inadvertently did the wrong needle or whatever, and it gave me Hep C or something like that. I mean, honestly, seriously, like, just my luck, that would fucking happen too. Like, somebody grabbed the wrong thing and it was like an already used needle somehow or whatever. But they didn't realize it was already used or whatever. I don't know, man. Either way, it's fucked up. So, yeah, that being said, that's pretty much where we're at for the day, though. Sometimes you just gotta be angry, man. Sometimes you just gotta rage out, is what it is. Sometimes you just gotta, be calm, but still be that level above calm where you're just like, you're technically calm, but you're just angry, is what it is. And that's one thing my family, especially my brother, don't understand, is what it is, man. It's like, yeah, I'm calm. I'm just pissed off at these fucking lying sacks of shit here in the state, man, especially the lying-ass Democrats here. Because as of this morning, you got fucking local Fox affiliate cucking out to the fucking leftist bullshit and lying about fucking issue 1. And then giving that stupid cunt Democrat Bride Rose Sweeney a fucking platform to spew her bullshit lies. Even though that bitch should be in prison for the last 4 years right now, or deprivation of law in the state, because she was literally the one that co-sponsored as a primary sponsor in 2019 the red flag legislation they tried to push through after Dayton. Literally 3 days after the Dayton massacre, these assholes were pushing gun control, man. And right then and there, every single Democrat that put the name to that, from Bride Sweeney to Allison Russo to Cecil Thomas and everybody in between, man. Every single Democrat should have been locked the fuck out of our General Assembly in handcuffs and hauled off to jail for deprivation of circle of law. Each one of them should have faced at least 1 year and 1 day in prison. Never hold elected office ever again, if not 10 years in prison, honestly, in many cases, because they were doing that not only on one bill, but at like 4 or 5 different anti-gun bills. And it should have been stacking at that point, and it should have eventually led to at least a 10-year minimum for every single one of these fuckers. And they should all be currently in Ohio jail right now, is what it is. But that's the problem. They're not. Because unfortunately, shitty-ass cops refuse to actually do misdemeanor crimes like the felonies that they actually should be, is what it is. And stack them as such when they're doing it multiple times in a row. So anyway, it's exactly why we'll be working on the recalls again here in the coming weeks and months and stuff like that on these fuckers under Article 1, Section 2 of the Ohio Constitution. Just remove them from office now and replace them with somebody else. And if nothing else, depending on how issue 1 goes, we might be working on a 1 county, 1 rep by a 50% plus 1 vote margin. And if people are cool with it, good. Then we get less Democrats in our state house. Then we get less Republicans in our state house. Then we have actually more independent representation across the board then. And we actually have a true constitutional republic after that, if that be the case then, in the state of Ohio anyway. So, anyways, that's pretty much it, though. My final message to everybody out there: if you live in the state of Ohio, vote yes on issue 1, either anytime now in early voting or come August 8th. This is a generational fight. This is a fight to maintain our gun rights here in this state. It is a fight to maintain life in this state as well, for that matter, because if it does not get passed through that 60% threshold, come November, you will most likely have abortionists trying to enshrine abortion into the Ohio Constitution, and fuck that bullshit, dude. You are not going to enshrine child murder into the state constitution either, fuckers. And I will take them to task over that one, because I will become plaintiff number 1 against their fucking asses on that, dude. In multiple lawsuits then. So, anywho. That being said, that's where we're at for the day. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I will be back, like I said, probably Monday or so. Other than that, we'll be back hopefully on Sunday night then with Honda with Gay Frogs on whether it be his YouTube channel or Rumble, whichever one's going to do it on. I'm not sure which one or both. Maybe if YouTube will give another channel strike, we'll do it back on Rumble, obviously, then probably. If he doesn't do one on Sunday, then I will probably do some kind of fill-in show maybe. Who knows? Depends on if we do anything at that point then. The problem is this is the only issue I deal with Honda, though, is like there's sometimes where he won't end up doing stuff, and then he just never lets us know he's not going to do anything. He just doesn't do it. And then like an hour or two after the scheduled time, I see him on fucking Discord playing StarCraft and stuff like that. It's like, dude, if I had known you weren't going to do one like 4 hours ago, I would have started my own shit then. And it would have been done 4 hours ago. And we would have been able to go for like an hour or two, and we would have been finished like 2 hours ago when your scheduled time was going to be then. So, yeah, it's a little infuriating, but it is what it is, man. Like I said, though, most likely, depending on if one happens or not, if it doesn't happen, I'll probably fill in or something like that, doing my own thing, whatever then. And then if it does happen, we'll be on the panel then. And talking to the boys and shit. But other than that, that's pretty much where we're at for the day. I'm looking into doing new merch for the channel very soon. I'm still looking into finding some stuff right now. I'm going to try to do some hat stuff. I want to do, obviously, some cozy stuff. Maybe something similar to this, but having my network moniker on it. Maybe not the coloration. Maybe do like a red and blue, maybe colorations on them and stuff like that. And then just doing like Ohio Patriot Education Network on one side. It's just like established, and then have our established date on there, something on the other side maybe. And then, doing some other stuff like a couple t-shirts and then a couple hats and stuff like that. Like have like an Ohio Patriot Education Network hat, kind of like a Trump mega hat and stuff like that. And then kind of the same thing with a shirt, and then maybe have some other shirt designs too and stuff like that. So there's a few different shirt designs I'm working on right now as well. It's just finding a place that'll do it as on-demand printing to where I don't pay any upfront money on there, and actually having them do something that's not going to cost an arm and a leg. Because I've tried some other stuff before with some other sites, and they charge way too much for the upfront printing is what it is, for the actual, like how much it would cost to actually make a profit on it. Because I've tried to do, I forget what the actual site was I was using, like Bonfire or something like that. And even for me to make a profit on a t-shirt, it was like, I was making like $250 profit on a t-shirt that was costing like $25 to do a printing on it, dude. And it's like, that's ridiculous. Like there should be something out there that's like 15, 20 at most. And I should be able to make like $4 to $5 off of that at least. So anyway, if I can find something like that, it's like a good price, not to put any upfront cost to it or whatever the case be, that's what I'm going to work on very soon. Here's what it is. Other than that, we're working on some other stuff. Like I said, making up some new hats, maybe making up some new shirt designs and stuff like that. So look for that in the future. If you want to support us in the future, then that's how you're gonna have to do it, through the buying of t-shirts and hats and merchandise and stuff like that. Because other than that, We don't have any place you could just fund us otherwise. I wish we did, but unfortunately, we don't have the money to buy a website domain or anything like that right now. So it is what it is. And yeah, other than that, I will be back, like I said, probably come Monday, most likely, unless something crazy happens over the weekend. But most likely, I'm just going to do a chilled out weekend this weekend and just chill out for like a couple days because I am not feeling the greatest. It is still extremely hot in this state right now. Got humidity going like crazy. Not feeling the greatest. That's why I don't have the lights on today because it's just too hot to put them on. And yeah, overall, I'm just sick and tired of watching our gun rights collectively have a bunch of gun grabbers try to grab them every day of our lives, man. I'll tell you right now, honestly, if I had the power of the Thanos glove, I would just be like, snap in like 10 seconds, be like, gun grabbers gone. And it would just be snap their asses out of existence then. So, anyway, we would be a much better society without their asses in it then. But other than that, like I said, that's where I'm at for today. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I will see you in the next one. Later.